Hello, madam. Here basically are discussing another topic that is basically we are discussing. And after that is the topic basically which we are discussing. In this, basically, we are discussing about the power of the land. Canada basically is giving the power supply to India, that is to the computer basically. So that is 850 crore computers basically are getting power supply from Canada land. Basically. So Canada is the land basically where power supply has generated basically. So all software companies, softwares, power source basically. So you are getting whatever power basically to the computer that is created in the Canada land basically. So inside the Canada land basically it has created. So that is basically known as a lava data basically, and which is designed by set of countries basically. We basically can't say which country because in front of the world basically it is South Africa, but that might not be. So power company basically has generated the data basically. In this basically one person basically literally asked the question, Sunil, basically you have the data of how many human needs basically has been created from software, because it might possible that in future basically this data might create problem. How? Because you might not have tested this thing basically which I am telling them. So he told that what basically. So the testing thing is, for example, one software company basically is telling that basically we can generate potato, we can generate tomato from this software energy. So they told that basically okay basically. So they have started generating also through chemicals, through seeds, through land. But they are telling that basically we don't have the data basically of that if this tomato and potato basically is using up to this number basically. For example, they told that basically when after uh, we basically has produced around 103 times the tomato basically from this software. So from the software chemical data, that is the software energy data, 103 time basically we have produced the tomato. But when we are doing at 104th time basically, that time basically it is generating the cancer data. Cancer data means assume that basically that tomato basically is good for year basically. So when basically the person basically is the when the software company is producing 104th time tomato, that tomato basically is producing cancer data. Cancer data means the ear basically are getting damaged, and it keeps on damaging, keeps on damaging. So that converts into the cancer basically. And that converts into cancer means that will kill your ear only basically. Cancer is that only basically, that entire body parts gets end basically, and slowly basically it spreads also basically. And it spreads to head, it spreads to your eye, it spreads to your nose, it spreads to your neck. Slowly basically it basically spreads to your heart, it spreads to your hand. So slowly basically it spreads and it's a body cancer basically. Entire body basically converts into the cancer, and at last basically you will die. So cancer is, this is the disease basically. So one software company told that basically we don't have this data basically, but we have not produced too much data. So that data basically we can collect the data, and we basically we our R&D team basically might be having, because they have done the R&D. And in this basically the Bollywood industry basically also might be having that data, because they are basically telling that basically whatever tomato is going to produce, that we have displayed in the movie. So how many times this tomato basically is going to produce from this software, and after that basically it is going to convert to cancer, that is the ear cancer. That data Bollywood group basically might be having. So we will ask to the Bollywood group, or basically the chemical group basically who created that software energy of that tomato. Sorry, the software tomato basically on the base of the software energy. So that group basically might be having, and we will collect the information and we will write down in our software basically. So just a minute. So after that basically the ear cancer basically is it's, if it's going to produce, then we can stop the ear cancer and we can stop the head cancer, we can stop the neck cancer, we can stop the head heart cancer, we can stop the stomach cancer, we can stop the hand cancer. Cancer means it will damage your body parts. So one person told that this data basically we have basically, but we need to collect and store to one project basically. That project basically we can give as a name as software energy cancer data. That is software energy cancer data. This will be the project name basically. So if this tomato basically is going to be produced, this software is going to produce 104 time. 104th time basically this software is going to produce tomato, then it is going to convert to cancer. Then it is going to convert to cancer. So one person basically asked the question, what might be the reason? So few people told that basically the body creation basically which is created and the body energy basically which gets generates according to the body creation basically, that basically has some boundary basically. Boundary means you can't get more than 100 years basically in Earth planet. Basically. In Earth planet basically, lots of people says that 100 year basically you can't get. Very few people basically gets the 100 year. That are very few people. That are very few people. Basically. So that are very few people. So one of the person told that yes, yes, this is correct. So this is about the cancer basically of the software industry basically, which they are going to produce a cancer data. But that basically data basically might be having basically with the software industry. If they might not be having, but they might be having with some other department basically. But this required some software basically. That if anybody asks basically this tomato is going to generate the cancer basically of which body parts, so you can tell that basically it's a ear part basically. Potato basically when you are going to use, then what cancer basically it's going to generate. So he told that basically it will convert to head cancer. Then one person told that if you are going to eat grapes, then what is going to generate? Then basically he told that it will convert to neck cancer. So positive is this, that it is giving the energy to ear, tomato. But negative is it is going to destroy also. That converts to negative part. That is the cancer disease. So one person told that negative, positive both basically are there. So that data basically also the medical industry basically might be having. Why? Because they have the total cancer disease basically in this world. That data basically they have. So just basically you have to collect the data from that. But they might not be having that. They basically might not be having the exact software name basically. That's or basically they might not be having the exact human needs basically from which the cancer disease has connected with. So that is tomato, and that tomato basically is getting produced from this software. Basically. So one person told that that is the human body age basically, which has restricted basically, by set of group basically, by set of groups. So that is also different point basically. That also basically most of thing basically we have discussed. So here basically the thing is one person basically asked the question that land basically is producing the power supply, right? Basically. So there also some restriction basically might be there. 100% basically But there basically the restriction might be little bit higher. Higher means 200 years, 300 years. After that, it will convert to cancer. It's not like that a human basically. Human software basically, if human software basically also can do up to that level, that is a 300 year, 200 year, then that's good. But that basically require lots of data basically. Or basically it might be possible the software which is creating for example, the software is getting created in Microsoft, and Microsoft basically is created by that thousand cities. So in that thousand cities, basically, if you can do something, or basically the thousand cities which has created from this power land, there basically if we can do something basically, then that would be good. But that's very dangerous. Why? Because human body basically has basically restricted with certain age. Basically. So up to that basically age, you can't have the life. So you can just imagine basically how the creation basically has done, how the creation basically has, and this everything is basically done. So one person told that, assume that basically a tomato basically is going to produce ear cancer. Ear cancer means tinnitus, or basically might possible that some sound might be getting into your ear, and that might damage your head, that might damage your eye, that might damage your nose, that might damage your neck. So that possibilities are there. So one of the person basically told that when you basically eat tomato, it takes around 2 days to convert to blood cells. Then it convert few days basically to connect to your body parts. So you have at least basically 1 week to stop that cancer data. To stop that cancer data basically you have 1 week. So human body is created up to flexibility that you can save your body parts also. But few stuff basically are so, for example, electronics item basically. Sometimes electronics item basically damage your ear also. Why? Because they are directly connected to your body parts. But that basically very rare people basically do. If you have any very dangerous enemy basically, then only basically that group basically do. Otherwise basically they don't do. Very very dangerous enemy. Then only basically they do. Otherwise basically they will not do. Because nowadays basically the enemy also don't do this type of activity. But if they have done, then basically they have some bigger enemy reason. So here the question is, that is the area basically from where the computer power basically is getting. That is the area basically from tomato energy is getting. So one person basically asked the question, one tomato energy is from created from software, one is created from that land, and the land power supply basically of tomato basically is getting from that land area. So one person basically asked the question, this tomato basically which is created, that source is basically from where? That source basically is coming from where? So there are one person told that it might possible that human energy basically might he might have created the human energy, and from human energy basically he might be producing the tomato energy, and that tomato energy basically he might be converting into software energy. So one person basically asked the question, how many body parts basically are, how many bodies basically are there in this world basically, which is telling that basically this body is perfect for software energy. So there are many things basically in this world. It says that basically this body basically parts can be used in software. This software basically can be used in this body. So there might be some condition basically that this software basically when it will enters into that person's body, it's going to produce positive data. That is positive data without cancer data. Because sometimes basically when you produce energy from software basically energy which insert to your body, that time basically it connects to the negative energy also. That connects to cancer data. But this very rare happens. But then also possibilities are there. So you can't ignore a single possibilities. You can't ignore a single possibilities. So one person basically told that that power supply basically which software industry is getting, in that basically he told that basically this software is going to produce tomato. So how they sends the tomato generation energy basically into that software? That is also question. Right? That means the lava data basically which is dumped basically by the certain group basically for the special basically of software basically they have told that basically SAP is going to generate this all energies. That is this all human needs. So from SAP software basically, from SAP software energy, they are going to generate this all human needs. From Salesforce software, from Salesforce software energy, they are going to generate this all human needs. So that is prefixed basically. That also you can say because in Lava data basically, it has dumped that SAP basically is going to produce tomato. Salesforce is going to generate potato. So when Power Company was created, Power Data was created of the SAP, of the Salesforce. That time only basically they have told that this software is going to produce this all human needs, and this software is not going to produce the human needs, this all human needs. And one of the person told that if you want to change, you can change it. If you want to do plus minus, then you can do. But that's very dangerous task because you have to change the SAP construction data also. That is, thousand city they have created. Then thousand cities are connected to the power supply that you have to change. Lots of changes basically are there. Then basically you have to integrate the stuff. So it's a huge process, basically. But possibilities are there basically. You can do the changes. Basically. So one of the person told that. So one person basically created software basically. He told that basically we can generate the human needs, and from data basically we can generate the human needs. Because nowadays everything basically is data. Everything basically is data. Everything is data. Basically. So on the base of data only basically everything get produced. And one person told me just now basically the earthquake basically came. That has came from tomato energy. So earthquake can be calculated and can be segregated this way also. Just now basically the earthquake came that basically was connected with the tomato and potato combination data. Just now basically the earthquake came basically that was connected with only potato energy. Only potato energy means total human basically had the potato And on the base of that potato, basically set of human energy basically has connected. That thousand building basically I have taken the example. That thousand building basically is producing the human energy, and that basically is placed near the buildings of the Bangalore basically. So that basically energy get effects basically. So one person will say this is the possibility. This is the possibilities. So one person told that that energy basically which has came, that has came to onion energy, earthquake basically which has came, that has came on the base of onion energy. So that was strange basically. That earthquake basically which has came, that has came due to iron energy. That is the fan basically you can see just that fan basically. That fan is created by iron basically. So due to that iron basically, assume that basically 1 lakh matrix basically are connected with the whole world. So in the source of iron basically something happened. So due to that 1 lakh area basically got connected to earthquake. So up to this level also basically possibilities are there. So just a minute. Up to this level also possibilities are basically there. So one person told that yeah, if up to this level basically the possibilities are there, then up to this level basically data basically we have. Because we don't have the medicine of cancer. That means we don't have this all data basically. That is by default basically. If you have the data, that means you are basically connected with the cancer medicine. If you don't have data, then basically you are not connected with the cancer medicine. Data means this earthquake basically came. That came basically on the base of which data? One person told that it has came on the base of tomato energy. So he basically got the medicine of tomato cancer. Tomato cancer means tomato is going to produce that type of energy which is going to give good sound. But cancer means it will finish your ear. So that is cancer. So they told that we basically can produce the medicine basically for the cancer of the ear cancer. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. One of the person told that yeah, we actually never thought that basically software energy basically group basically have to think up to this level. Because the doctors group basically who are connected with the software energy and software medicine basically and software disease, they might be having the data that from this software it is producing this all human needs, that are tomato and potato, and that tomato potato basically when it is going to going to produce this many times, then basically it is not going to give problem, but it will cross the boundary, that is boundary is 103, and it will cross the boundary of 104, then it will convert to cancer. So one person told that that is a disease basically. So one of the person told that really basically software industry basically have lots of opportunity basically in this world basically. Lots of opportunities are available there. Lots of opportunity basically are there. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the opportunity world basically is having. So one person told that, but for that basically you should know this whole thing basically. For that basically you should know all thing. One person told that yeah basically there are many job basically in data warehousing. But for that basically you should know the data warehousing tool, SSIL tools. Then basically many tools basically are available. which says that basically we can Unix is there. Previously, basically there was no tool. There was only Unix, one text file, and one Oracle database. On the basis of that, basically we were doing all the performance, all conditions. Basically we were checking, and basically we are dumping data to particular areas, particular table spaces, particular data files. That is data warehousing only basically. But that time basically we don't have the tool. We have to write everything basically in Unix coding basically. And one person told that yeah, basically there are basically many opportunity of project managers. There are many opportunity of software delivery heads. So for that basically you should be aware about leading side. Delivery head means you should able to ever you should able to handle 11 project managers, 12 project managers, 13 project managers, 14 project managers, 15 project managers. Then only basically you can convert yourself into the delivery head. Delivery means that delivery, no, not that delivery basically. That does delivery basically. I'm not talking about that delivery. Delivery means software delivery basically. That is delivery is totally different. That delivery basically is totally different. So one person told that I'm not talking about that delivery basically. So one person told that delivery head designation basically lots of opportunity basically are in Mumbai of the delivery of the software delivery. So there basically software delivery head designation is too much. So they are basically producing lots of software. So if they are producing lots of software, that means they have the good opportunity to get the designation of software delivery head, project managers, technical lead, technical project manager, software delivery head. Like this basically, you should be aware about these all topics. So one person actually told this basically. When project manager basically is creating the project, that time basically you can track the cancer disease, that this is the cancer disease which is going to basically generate from this data, and from that data basically you can generate the medicine of cancer. So that is possible basically. One of the person basically from satellite asked, but this was actually new basically. So one person told that basically what actually you told only basically that we are not able to understand. Cancer disease means what basically? Set of data. Medicine of cancer means what basically? Set of medicines data. Then basically one of the person told that, but what about the power supply basically which we are getting? Because when you are doing the um, analysis, project management tools, this each and other thing, that is basically into your local PC. That is not into the server basically. But the server basically gets the data that is on the base of assume that basically 300 server basically are there in India. So when you are connecting to that server, na basically, it is by default connecting to 300 server also. So that combination basically you might not get. So due to that basically you can't able to generate the cancer data and cancer medicine data in your local PC. But that is possible in that server. Why? Because then one of the person told that can we create something like DevOps basically of the server basically of 300 server basically 300 server basically have one dummy data basically in one PC, or basically we can give that name as a Amazon or basically Amazon server, or basically, and that Amazon server basically contains that entire 300 crore, 300 PCs, that is the server, and that server basically is having the data of that 850 crore computers. So that possibilities are there, because that can be checked before deploying the project basically, and that will save lots of time basically. But that is a huge investment basically. It's investment basically like Amazon Web Service basically we have the software industry basically group has started. Why they started? To do the less infrastructure use, to create the sorry to reduce the less, to reduce the infrastructure basically. Same way here is also like that basically. When you are doing the processing to the server basically, that is a 300 server basically, you basically do lots of R&Ds in that server only basically. That R&D basically will get reduced. That R&D will convert into that one server basically. That is basically given name as a Amazon basically. Or basically any group basically. Here basically Amazon like thing is created. That's why I have basically given the name as a Amazon, and that basically checking is possible in that server basically. So that basically you just need to take some space and you can check your stuff there basically. And you can check the cancer data, cancer medicine data also. So this is one idea basically which is connected according the on the base of Amazon idea basically. Because Amazon also basically got one idea basically from one group only basically. Because he told that he is telling that basically your infrastructure basically will get reduced, but control will be with us. Infrastructure basically will get reduced, but control of your software basically will be get with us basically. So that is basically one thing. So here one of the person told that if that 300 server basically replica basically, that is one server basically which is going to create, and you can check the data of the cancer data and medicine data here basically. Is there any advantages or basically disadvantage? Advantages that R&D basically time basically is ongoing, because you are doing R&D in the live server basically, where the medicine basically are getting produced. In that basically you are doing the R&D. So that basically can be filtered. That much R&D basically you can do here, and that R&D basically which you are going to do here basically, that you are doing here basically, and that R&D process will get reduced, because there are many medicines basically which give side effect basically, which basically gives a side effect. So the side effect basically which is given, which is basically generated from the medicine basically, that can be reduced. That can't basically, that basically we can't finish it basically, but it can be reduced by 80 percentage, not 1 or 2 percentage, direct 80 percentage. So it's a huge number basically. So side effect basically where you are getting from 180 percentage basically your body parts are getting damaged by the side effect medicine, that will get reduced, and that will help the medicine department also. That will help the medicine department also. So one of the person told that that can be reduced, and lots of many advantages basically are also there, because you are doing the process in the live medicine create. So servers basically are medicine creation machine basically, that also you can see, and that is converting into energy basically, and that energy basically are producing the medicine data, and that's a huge process. So in that process basically you can filter something, you can filter basically something. So that is also possible basically. So that is also possibilities are there basically. But it's a infrastructure basically is there. Same way basically you have to create AWS like thing. That's basically risky also and good also basically. That basically is good for server department. There basically the stuff will get reduced. The R&D process basically which was ongoing in the server basically, that will get reduced. So that connects to like this. IBM server, Microsoft server. Microsoft server equal to 1000 cities. So whatever process basically is happening in the Microsoft server, that is connected with that thousand cities. So if we will do the R&D basically, we will reduce the R&D process. So this process basically will get reduced. That process will convert to that area basically. And that will be going to connect to Microsoft Energy. Because construction basically is not always updating basically. Daily basically construction basically is not happening. Weekly also construction is not happening. Monthly also construction is not happening. So this much time basically you have. So construction changes basically happens very rare. So Microsoft server equal to thousand cities. So one person told that this is something great idea basically, but to implement basically it's very dangerous stuff. It's very dangerous stuff. It's exactly same as AWS only. But if you will do this, 80 percentage basically side effect medicine, sorry, 80 percentage side effect basically which you are getting from the medicine basically, that will reduce. That basically I can give you in bond paper. So one of the person told that possibilities basically are there, but to implement basically ideas that's very dangerous. But somebody has implemented the AWS. That was also basically one dangerous idea. But somebody has implemented it. Microsoft Cloud is there, Google Cloud is there. So this has implemented it. But control basically are with them basically. Control basically are with them. So one of the person told that like this basically can reduce lots of basically problems. Lots of problem basically you can reduce, yeah. Because nowadays to solve the problem basically people spends thousand, five thousand, ten thousand, 50,000 crore basically money just to solve the problem. But here basically you got the solution basically free. But that is very risky really. But Amazon also basically lots of people were telling that basically if we will implement this AWS basically AWS cloud, Microsoft cloud, Google cloud, that is very risky. But they have implemented it. AWS equal to, for example, one person told that, "Bhai, मेरे पास I basically have one function basically, but that function basically I don't have one infrastructure basically for that. Lots of that group basically who created this software basically they are telling that we want this setup, we want that setup. That basically I can't afford basically for one function basically. So he contacted AWS. In AWS basically told that basically we can basically give you this function implementation basically, but you just need to pay some service charge basically. That is this service charge basically that basically you have to pay. But here basically your infrastructure basically will get saved. So that basically we are taking the burden basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. One of the person told that yeah, if problem basically are big, then solution also basically are there. Basically. Solutions basically are also there. So one person told that AWS basically function basically. One person basically was having AWS function basically. He created one function basically for the shopping website. In that shopping website basically he want to use that AWS function, but he was not able to use. Why? Because his infrastructure basically was not having that much power basically. So he connected to AWS group. AWS basically solved the problem, and they had told that basically, but we control basically of this function basically we are keeping with us, and you are basically paying the service charge. So you can just imagine basically if the problem is there, then the solutions basically are also there. Same way, this side effect of each medicine basically that can be reduced. Not 1 or 2%, 80 percentage side effect medicine basically, 80 percentage side effect basically which is happening from the medicine basically that can be reduced here basically. It's a not a small amount basically. It's not a small number basically. It's a huge number. 100 damage basically body parts basically have is which was having, it will reduce from 80%. 80% people basically will not get their body parts damaged. So that's basically good for the environment basically, because in environment basically good healthy energy will get generates. Due to that basically lots of other task is also possible basically from that good energy. So you can just imagine basically up to what level basically the ideas are there. Ideas implementation basically group should be there. If group basically is implementing, then basically the supporting group also must be there basically. AWS basically implemented because he was having the support basically. Microsoft Google basically implemented why? Because he was having the support. He was having the power of money basically. AWS also basically was having the power of money. Then Google Cloud. Google is basically born rich person. So he is also basically having the power of money, and basically he is having the power of Google Cloud because he is having the huge level of infrastructure. So he basically is spending his little bit infrastructure data to Google Cloud basically. So for that basically is not doing the bad thing basically. So if ideas basically are there, then implementation group basically is also there basically. So one person told that basically is the stuff basically. So if you can reduce the 80% side effect from the medicine which is going to create here basically I'm just talking about software energy. But these possibilities are here basically I'm just talking about the software energy. Rest of energy basically that are the medicine creation basically. They are also basically doing some process. So one person told that the live server basically which is ongoing basically, there basically the process are connected with the data as well. Because their cancer data generates, cancer medicine data also generates there only basically. That is the live environment basically. In this dummy basically cancer data basically can't generate because we are having the dummy data. Why? Because server basically are getting the power supply from different area. Local computers basically are getting power supply from different areas. So that is the huge difference. That is not the huge basically, it's very huge difference. So that can be reduced basically from that new idea implementation, which will reduce mostly 80% of side effect of body parts getting damaged. So one of the person told that possibilities are there basically. So one person told that, do you have the validity of the computer basically which is going to get the power supply for India? That is 800 crore basically power supply. 800 crore 800 crore computers power supply basically they are getting from that Canada land. You have the data basically. How many time basically it is going to produce perfect data? Data means perfect power supply data, which is not going to connect to cancer. So that they told that basically we need to check with the Canada group. Basically. And they told that basically the group who created the lava department, lava data, we have to connect with to that department. Basically. So you can just imagine basically each and every groups are basically dependent on each other. So one person told that that's very strange. Basically. That's very strange data. So one person told that yeah, if problem basically are then the solution basically are also there. If problems are there, then the solutions basically are also there. So that is the stuff. One of the person told that That is the strategy. So this was also one of the idea really, which nobody in this world has implemented. If you are going to implement, that would be the first time. That would be first time. So from this video basically we generated few software also, because that required lots of infrastructure, required lots of software, lots of post is going to generate. Some new post is also going to generate. Same way basically the Google Cloud generated, AWS Cloud Engineering generated, Microsoft Cloud Group basically generated, AWS basically group generated, UML basically UML basically programming got generated. Like this basically many things are going to generate there basically. And if you are generating programming language, then basically you have to create the physical place also. Because if condition is created on the base of thousand cities. So that basically we have discussed lot long before basically. While condition basically when you are writing, that is connecting to thousand cities. That we have discussed long before basically. If anybody want to watch that video basically, then basically they can watch the video in the channel basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. If problem basically are there, then the solutions basically are also there basically. Because one country basically is going to affect the problem. That problem basically whole world is going to affect one day. So money basically spending to the problems and solution basically, that basically are too much. So one person told that the 80% side effect of the medicine basically will get reduced. It will not give side effect too much basically, but it will give side effect. Why? Because data are keeps on processing, and that's why. Data are keeps on processing. That's why. That's the way it's. Because construction basically never stops. Why? Blood cells basically process never stops. If blood cells process is not stop, not if blood cells basically is processing basically processing. Construction data is also basically processing. And data science project management post, developer post, database developer post, that are also basically processing. So one of the personal tool, this is basically the business model. Like this basically in this we created one business basically. But it's good for the healthcare department because it is going to give generate good energy basically into the environment. So that is good energy. If you are solving the global warming problem basically if you are solving, then basically that is good for the environment basically. That is good for the earth planet basically. That is good for the energy basically of the each and every body parts. That is good for the cities to cities, states to states, countries to countries. Energy spreading basically. So you can just imagine basically, one software basically can do up to one software person basically can think up to this level basically. So that is a software energy which generated new business basically, and which solved the medical problem also. That also 80% side effect basically that will 100% will get reduced basically from this solution basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the problems are there and up to what level the solutions are also available basically in the market. So you can just imagine basically. Up to what level the creations basically are also done with it. Because servers are equal to physical place basically, which has already created with it, which has already created with it. In that basically you can do the little bit enhancement basically is possible. Little bit changes basically are possible. But totally modification, lots of big modification basically, that is very difficult. That means you are basically have not done the proper planning basically. You are basically the management team has not done the proper planning. That's why basically the management team basically why they are getting the good money basically. Because they have to reduce the entire rework basically. They have to reduce the entire rework. So if you are reducing the rework, so that is good basically. So from this basically, if you are stopping the damaging of the side effect of the damaging of the body parts, that means you are near to the cancer disease medicine basically. From this solution only basically you created cancer disease medicine basically. So there is no need of big level of infrastructure to create the medicine of cancer. From this only basically you can create the cancer medicine basically. So you can just imagine it. So one person told that that's very dangerous idea. We actually never thought this way. But this is good idea basically. So one person told that this is equivalent to AWS basically. Something new basically that can be created. And you can basically the people who might be creating this, they might give the name also according to that basically. Because that should be connecting to cancer basically. That is going to connect to the body parts damage basically. That is going to connect to the side effect medicine basically. So name also should be according to that only. But in front of world basically you can't say that basically this is connecting to that cancer disease side effect of medicine. For that basically you need some English name basically. So for that basically you require some English name basically. You can't give the medical name basically. But lots of company basically gives medical name also basically of the software basically. You can't imagine it. Why? Because that are used by and created by medical department only. So there is no need to give the name other than the medical name. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the creations are basically, and up to what level the creations are done with. So here basically lots of data science project, lots of projects basically, lots of things basically connect, lots of new business also basically connected in this project, and that is for good for the healthcare department because it is going to affect to healthcare only basically. Because the people's body parts are getting damaged, it is going to it converts to cancer, it converts to death basically. After a year basically will get damaged. Slowly basically it's going to spread to entire body parts basically. And then it will convert to death basically. So this all basically can be reduced. So good energy basically is going to generate in the environment, and global warming basically problem basically which somebody has given the name, that can be solved. So that's basically good for the healthcare department, global warming people basically who created the global warming name. So their data basically will get reduced. Their database data will get reduced from this idea. So you can say that server basically which is going to create. this server. So this server minus this data, so that will be the remaining data for that healthcare department. So that is good basically. So that is going to reduce the lots of data basically. And in few software basically less data are entered na basically, that is good. For example, one person told that yeah, ear cancer basically data are getting increased. So that is good or basically wrong basically. Ear cancer basically data are getting increased and there is no medicine also. For that basically doctor also basically can't do anything. So that is good or for basically what bad basically. So one person told that that is who want to reduce the population. For that basically group basically it is good. But that is not good for the health. Because if you are reducing the population also, that is also going to that basically till that time basically he is going to produce a bad energy. But that is good basically or bad basically that you decide. But that is not good basically. Because it is going to generate a damage air energy. So this whole problem basically can be reduced. Side effect of the medicine. Over given medicine. So from this basically we created one new software or no new business basically because AWS one business basically. So AWS equal to that new basically business we connected here. So that's very good basically, which is going to connect to healthcare department only basically. Ultimately, it's going to connect to healthcare department. So one of the person told that the power company which is giving the power to the softwares, power company which is going to give the software basically power, their task also basically will get reduced. But their task basically would be same only. Why? Because whatever power supply basically they are giving to the server basically, that only they are going to give. But here is one more supply chain will get connected because that would be special power supply. So for that basically the new Lava department basically the group who created this Lava data, they have to do something new basically. So AWS when it was produced, that means somebody has changed the computer power supply basically. Source that was the land basically. That is the Lava data. So changes is possible. Changes is possible. Somebody has done this now basically. When AWS has implemented that time basically somebody has done that basically. So same way basically here also basically the land modification basically might require. So you can just imagine in this world basically there are more than 3 lakh power supply, and on the base of that only basically we are having the good normal life basically. And to have a good normal life basically that is a good thing basically. That is not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. So here the topic is 3 lakh power supply basically, which is connected with the Earth planet. In that basically one of the Canadian land basically is there, which is producing 850 crore, which is producing power supply of 850 crore computers, but they are producing power supply to 300 computers only. That is the 300 server basically. And rest of thing basically are handled by this 300 servers. So you can just imagine basically the power change. So next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic, that is 3 lakh power supply source basically, which is basically in the Earth planet basically, which is connecting to all human needs basically, which we are having in this Earth